I'm going to ask ChatGPT about you, Marcus. Is Marcus Lashley the top turkey something? Oh, it gives me strengths and what makes you stand out. Oh, but you have some limitations and considerations too.
Well, everybody knows that. See, it's so general, it's not even meaningful.
It said, if you want, I can compare Marcus to other top turkey scientists so you can see where he ranks. Do you
I
want me
can't
to
believe
do
it
that?
even know me. That's hilarious. Welcome to Wild Turkey Science, a podcast made possible by Turkeys for Tomorrow. I'm Dr. Marcus Lashley, Professor of Wildlife Ecology at the University of Florida.
And I'm Dr. Will Gulsby, Professor of Wildlife Ecology and Management at Auburn University. We're both lifelong hunters and devoted scientists who are passionate about hunting, managing, and researching wild turkeys.
In this podcast, we'll explore turkey research, speak to the experts in the field, and address the difficult questions related to wild turkey ecology and management.
Our goal
Is to serve as your connection to wild turkey science. Just count right on in.
All right, let's do it.
Well, I know you have done this in the past, but it takes me a while to catch up on some things. And one of those things is AI.
You finally discovered it's a thing?
Well, I just figured I'd download the app, and the first thing I typed in there is why or wild
What is a wild turkey?
Declining. I already knew that one, I think. No,
why are they declining?
I typed in why are wild turkeys declining because I was trying to think of what do you think folks that are wondering why wild turkeys are declining would type into ChatGPT, and I thought why are wild turkeys declining would be a good prompt.
Yeah.
So for those of you out there, we are trying to keep our content fresh and think through things that folks might like to hear about. And the reality of this situation is I was typing in something unrelated to this into ChatGPT, and I don't even remember what it was now. But it was out of curiosity. Oh, I do know, actually. I know what it was, if you'd like me to enlighten you.
Mm-hmm.
I was involved in a student that was in their qualification exams.
Mm-hmm.
And I had written some questions for that student, for them to respond to. And I just was curious if you put the prompt, like if you put my question in as a prompt, what ChatGPT would say.
Yeah.
And I put the question in there, and it was loosely related to turkeys, and it gave me a thing. I was like, that's really interesting. So that what stimulated me to put in an actual prompt like this.
Yeah.
And then when I did that, I was like, man, light bulb.
Yeah.
We should discuss what ChatGPT has to say about it.
How good is it? And I've been playing with it a little bit too. Although I started doing that months ago.
Hey. We can't all be innovators.
But that was one of the first questions that I was interested in asking it too, just to see what it could compile from the internet. And the other thing that I was curious about is, hey, this is a great tool to dive into different aspects and start using it to point me in the direction of like some resources that I might read on certain aspects of different hypotheses that we have or stuff like that.
Yeah,
just trying to find gaps.
Well, I know that when you asked it, what's the best wild turkey science podcast, it said wild turkey science. It wasn't leading at all. But I wonder if it could also tell us where are the gaps. What have we not covered that we should?
Ooh, yeah.
That'd be a good prompt.
Use it as a tool for self-reflection and improvement, huh? So
you kind of are already the way that you're talking about using it.
Right.
I do think that it's useful. Obviously, it's useful. It could be taken advantage of, and well,
it's only as smart as what's out there on the internet.
Yeah. So, but I still think it'd be interesting for us to go through just based on our impression of what it had to say about why water turkeys are declining. But also, I will lay out there, I think Charlotte even said she was going to put something in the show notes for folks. But if you enjoy this kind of episode and you have prompt ideas that you'd like us to cover because you enjoyed this so much, then drop us a line real quick. And, if we get some good prompts, we can do, I mean, maybe we could even do a whole series on this if we wanted to.
So I think especially for folks, I mean, and we joke around, but I haven't used this that much either. Can you think of an example of a prompt that somebody might submit to us?
You mean like what they would type into ChatGPT?
Yeah, like what would
what is wild turkey science missing? I don't know. Do you have something in mind there?
No, I was just when you put that out there, I'm just thinking of me as a listener. I'm like, what does he mean by prompts? And I guess really it's just a topic that you want us to cover. And the unique aspect about doing it this way is it would just be kind of interesting to see, like, do we agree or disagree with what it's able to dig up on the internet? And it's going to have limitations there, right? Because it can't stay on the cutting edge of science. Because all that information isn't necessarily published yet.
Well, the interesting thing about it, and you put me onto this like 1 minute ago, is once it gives you some answers, then you can ask it to source it.
Yeah.
So I would encourage folks, if you are using it, to do that.
Yeah.
And then go explore that source and see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that's actually should be a source? So, I think that is important and I'm thinking about this.
Well, earlier, just to specify on that, earlier it gave us a reason for something we ask it, but then the only citation that it gave us indicated the opposite of what it actually answered.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one problem with it. If you ask it for evidence of something, it'll give you evidence. And in that case, it gave us evidence that actually contradicts the evidence.
The point that it made.
Yeah, the point that it made was actually contradictory to the source it gave us for that.
That's right.
So, anyway, that, it's important to be obviously cognizant and exploring the weaknesses of this platform.
Yeah.
And I think that's the warning that has been out there for a while with using AI. But I also found it really interesting to see what it had to say,
mm-hmm.
and then go farther and say, okay, well, where did you get that information from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
what we're going to do is go through its answer as to why turkeys are declining and discuss the points that it brings up and I guess their relative weight of support or plausibility in our opinions.
Yeah, and I guess since I have it on my phone right here, I'll kind of lay out what it says, and then maybe you give initial response, and then we can discuss.
Okay.
And then if maybe there's a listener out there that really wants you to do that to me, and then we'll do it the opposite way next time when we get some good prompts.
Okay.
Keep the prompts reasonable, people. Okay. All right.
I don't know. The unreasonable ones probably are more fun.
So, well, if we get some that we can reasonably cover, being fun is still
and stay
fun.
On the
air. Yeah. All right. So the prompt, I wrote in, why are wild turkeys declining? So that is the prompt. And it says, I don't know if people have used it, but it kind of gives you a structured answer. It's generally a paragraph that's sort of a little summary, and then it'll give bullets or in this case, numbered answers. So it says wild turkey populations are declining in many parts of North America, and the causes appear to be multifactorial. So there are many reasons.
I agree with that right off the bat.
Yeah. Here's a breakdown of the main reasons researchers and wildlife biologists have identified. So we'll see if you agree with this. Number one, the thing that is affecting wild turkey decline the most, I guess, or what it felt necessarily would be number one, is habitat loss and fragmentation.
Mm.
So would you like me to give you the 2 bullet points that
Yeah.
it provided with that before you respond? And that'll give you some time to think of how you want to respond. Urban development, agriculture, and land use changes are reducing the amount of quality habitat turkeys need for nesting, brood rearing, and otherwise foraging. Fragmented habitats make turkeys more vulnerable to predators and reduce nesting success.
Okay. This reads like a very general, like, conservation biology type answer, right? Like out of a textbook. I mean, with the concept that this related to habitat loss, I mean, I don't think it's any surprise to any of our listeners that I would totally agree with that. But, you know, development, certainly, I agree with that. Development is not a friend to turkeys. But fragmentation, I don't, you know, that's, you got to get more nuance than that, right? Like, if you're talking about fragmentation in the sense that areas that were formerly, you know, turkey habitat have been developed, yes, that's fragmenting their habitat. But when I think about habitat fragmentation in the general ecological sense, which means that you have patches of habitat broken up by any type of non-habitat, I would disagree with less, because turkeys are such a generalist species that I feel like they use most cover types aside from development, at least during certain parts of the year.
Okay.
But I would say, I mean, you know, obviously, I would go more into blaming the land use and the land management practices on the decline in habitat quality as opposed to the fragmentation case that it presented.
Well, I think I mostly agree with you. Although I was thinking about fragmentation just in the sense that you have more interstitial space that's not conducive to wild turkeys.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have patches that are still good, but now they're isolated from one another.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that's particularly relevant to things that we've been working on here with the Florida Wildlife Corridor, because the entire idea is to keep habitat patches connected at the state level.
Because
And
development's a big threat, like I was talking about.
yeah, and that's particularly problematic in Florida, and you know, just a problem in general across the range of turkeys. But it's a heightened risk here
Mm-hmm.
because of the development pressure. And yeah, so but I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, what if you're in a situation like, for example, you know, you have hens trying to disperse, and they're more likely to get killed when during dispersal because of the way the, you know, wouldn't necessarily have to be development to cause that.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to have a landscape that they can't use at all, but if they're very much less successful dispersing, then you know, I could see where habitat fragmentation, even though it isn't necessarily getting developed, could still be a problem.
Yeah, and maybe I wasn't very clear in my response, but I mean, I agree with that. I think that my point was, I think that ChatGPT was treating it more like fragmentation is development, whereas I was saying I think it's a little bit more subtle and nuanced than that. It could just be like
Yeah,
changes in forest
it did
management
lead with
practices.
It led with urban development.
Right. Yeah,
So
I would say, I mean, because like changes in forest management practices have fragmented turkey populations. Like, to go back to your example, you know, if we had 1,000-acre young pine plantation that separates one population from another, that's a problem.
mhm. Especially when you replicate that over and over across the range.
Yeah.
The same argument could be made for our early succession.
Yeah. But I would like to see something in its answer about reduced availability of woodland and savanna plant communities and decrease in use of prescribed fire and increased dominance of early successional areas by exotic pasture grasses.
Yeah. Well, maybe when somebody does that prompt after this hits the internet, it'll add all that in there.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you on that. I think it was fairly generic. And it, the problem with it is basically that number one could be the number one for pretty much any species.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not very turkey helpful or turkey specific.
Okay. We ready to move on to number 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you think it is?
Do I think what is? Number 2?
What do you think number 2 is?
Oh.
I'm just like looking for a guess.
Predators? Something about predators?
No, it's not.
What is it?
Although it does have predator stuff in one of the bullets.
Mortality.
Low reproduction and nest success.
Low reproduction and nest success. Okay.
So
does it expand on that?
That's one of the reasons they're declining. So that is a vital rate of concern.
Yeah.
That's like saying wild turkeys are declining because they're dying.
Yeah, that's not a why, that's a how.
Yeah.
Come on, chat.
Well, come on, chat. Chat, is the microphone on? Or are you listening to us?
Don't hurt its feelings. It's going to remember that.
Okay, it says studies are showing that many hens either don't nest at all or nest fail due to predation, and it has in parentheses raccoons, skunks, coyotes, etc. Poor weather during nesting or brooding periods, parentheses cold, wet springs. Even when nests hatch, poult survival, parentheses baby turkeys, is low in some regions.
I appreciate it breaking it down like that so we can understand it. What was the first one again?
You mean habitat fragmentation, or you based
no.
on this
down that list you just
first
read?
Bullet? It says studies are showing that many hens either don't nest at all or nest fail due to.
I don't agree with the first part of that answer. I think saying many hens don't nest at all is overstating it.
I would generally agree with that because on average, 80-something%, right? Or around 80% nest initiation rate.
Yeah.
So most hens do attempt to nest.
I would just say some hens don't nest, but...
Yeah. But most nests do fail.
Most nests certainly do fail, and predominantly that's because of predation.
Yeah. Or at least they're implicated.
Right.
But I also am like, well, what would they fail to if it wasn't predation?
Yeah.
At least as an endpoint. That isn't necessarily... we had a series on this back in the day to make this point, because there's a whole bunch of people out there that are irritated right now that I just said that. But the point is, the outcome of having poor habitat quality or too many predators is the nest gets lost because it gets eaten. In both cases.
Yeah.
The fact that the nest got eaten doesn't implicate what the problem is.
Yeah.
It doesn't detangle that problem.
Well, and that's the other thing that we don't have data on yet, too, is in a given area, we can't say what the relative contribution is of the predator community context as opposed to the habitat. And we're trying to get at those answers with current research.
Yeah, there's 2 projects right now that are long-term projects that we are involved with that are trying to address this habitat predator context problem. Actually, we both have multiple projects focused on that currently, some of which we're involved in together and some that we're leading independently. But there's no question that predation is the endpoint. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a question of, is it the endpoint because the habitat quality is terrible, or is it the endpoint because the predator context has changed, or is it both?
Yeah, and then
It's
of course
probably
the
some
next logical
combination of
question
the
is what
we
can we actually do about it?
right, and that's where it really matters which
Yeah,
one's the problem, because what fixes it changes based on what's the problem.
that's right.
I was interested, uh, the the bullet point that poor weather.
Yeah, I don't know enough about how weather patterns have changed over the time period during which turkeys have begun to decline compared to before that to be able to speak intelligently to that.
Yeah, I know there's a paper, is Boone et al., which some folks might recognize that name. Boone was the same lead author that led the one of the habitat arguments that we've made, where
Mm-hmm.
habitat management, they showed basically that increasing fire frequency decreased the prevalence of a bunch of mesocarnivores that are predators of turkeys, including pigs, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, the two biggest ones that I always talk about from that study are the pigs and the raccoons.
yeah. So we covered that when it came out, but the same lead author went on to work in North Carolina as a postdoc and produced a paper where they looked at nesting success specifically, I think, across the southeast, and they were looking at weather patterns over,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a decade long, and they didn't find strong shifts in weather that have negatively affected nesting.
Yeah.
I think is the general take home of that.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are a few papers that have found evidence for the wet hen hypothesis,
Right, which we've done an
where
episode on before.
yeah, where rainfall during nesting decreases survival of the hen or the nest. And I don't know if there is good data on poult survival, but one of the things that we're working on with the poult project that is very evident in the data, I think, uh, is that their exposure to environmental factors is very much affecting their
Yeah,
their foraging efficiency. And
yeah,
I think if we had not intervened, we would have had lots of poults die.
yeah. I mean, thanks to that work and in your pulp facility, I've definitely started thinking more and more about weather than I ever have within the context of
Yeah.
turkey reproduction.
So whether or not that has changed, or we've had a spurt of bad weather or whatever,
Yeah.
uh, I don't
Well,
know
see, that
about
would be a
that,
cool
but it's
prompt
cert.
if you wanted to play with this and start digging
Yeah.
into and making some new hypotheses. Ask it, okay, well, what are the weather pattern changes that we've seen over this X amount of time? And you can just kind of go down a rabbit hole of asking it to follow up, follow up, follow up, provide citations, and next
Hmm.
thing you know, it's written a paper for you.
Yeah.
If only it were that easy, right?
Yeah. Light bulb. You have to disclose with journals now how you used AI.
Yeah. Well, we have a policy too now with theses and dissertations at Auburn that you have to disclose in the front matter whether or not you wrote it using AI assistance. So that's novel.
Yeah, you have to describe how you used it
Yeah.
here, I think. So I don't know if that's what y'all's is
Here we are.
designed to do, but isn't that something?
It is.
Man, and it's changing so fast.
I mean, we thought
Like a
we were
year from now, I
fancy.
have no idea where we're going to be.
We thought we were fancy when we first started using citation software,
You want
which
to
I
know a
still don't
funny?
use, by the way.
I was going to say, would you like to know something funny? I've never used citation software. Still, when I started my master's, I literally went. I was the last generation that did this, and maybe you were. I went to the library and printed out articles.
Yeah,
I did that in my first year at University of Tennessee.
yeah, yeah. I printed
Like
off.
most of them weren't online yet.
Yeah, I did that.
Isn't that something?
I've had to order some articles on interlibrary loan before because
Yeah.
they weren't digitized. Anyway, nobody wants to hear about how old we are.
Well, and the fact that we're not early adopters, at least
Yeah.
not in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never adopted the citation manager thing. And to be honest with you, it kind of irritates me when students are using them and I'm trying to delete a citation or change one.
Oh my
and
God, it
won't.
drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh man!
No,
All right.
I still never mind. That's neither here nor
We've
there.
got like
Nobody wants to hear about that.
we've got 7 of these, and we're on the second one, so we better get going.
This is a two-part episode, I guess. All right, what's next?
We're only going to cover the top 3. Well, I think this one we already talked about it to some degree. It is increased predator populations.
Yeah.
I would like to dig into that farther and see where
What
the
data
citations.
What data it's using to base that off of.
I'm not-
Because that
I'm
is
not
something I will
denying
caution
it, but-
people about, is sometimes when you ask it that follow-up question, it will reveal that it was off of something very weak or just straight
Yeah.
up conjecture, really.
Yeah, or the citations it cites are actually the opposite of what it's saying,
Yes.
which is one thing that we used to prompt earlier before the show. So here are the bullets. Predator populations have grown in many areas due to changes in land use and lack of large predators. There is evidence of both of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Top-down regulation is what that's talking
so
about.
I don't know what data they would be using that's relevant to turkeys with the
Yeah.
top down. So basically,
I'm thinking
what
that
we're
they're just
saying
generally
is, like-
looking at the mesopredator release hypothesis.
yeah. So what that means, just generally for folks, if you're not already with us, having wolves or pumas or something, some top apex predator like that on the landscape, there is data to show that will regulate lower trophic levels, and we would call that the mesocarnivore release hypothesis. And the idea is, if you have wolves, you'll have fewer raccoons and coyotes and stuff at that level, because that top predator regulates the density of those, or abundance on the landscape. And if you remove that top predator, as a result, it releases them. So you have a more abundant mesocarnivore guild.
Yeah.
And that can really negatively affect prey species when the mesocarnivore guild is either better at
Yeah.
or more focused on that prey species.
Yeah.
So with turkeys, having panthers might not be a problem because panthers don't eat nests.
Yeah.
But not having panthers releasing raccoons could be a problem because the raccoon will eat the nest.
Yeah.
So that's just a general hypothetical of how that might happen.
Yeah.
You want me to move to the next one? I'm
Yeah.
guessing since you didn't add anything.
No,
to
I'm just
that.
saying, I think, yeah, I think that's believable, but I mean, that would be it's kind of it's very much generalizing things that
Yeah.
have been found for other species to turkeys. That was not a direct citation relevant to turkeys.
Yeah, probably not. But the land use one, we have definitely made a direct connection with.
We have.
Because when we have allowed the landscape to transition from an open forest type that's regulated by fire, we've allowed a lot of species that would have been relegated to wetlands, like raccoons, to colonize the uplands.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that definitely could be
Sure.
related directly to turkeys, and is likely a reason that the predator context has changed.
Agree 100%.
All right, here's the second bullet. Nests and poult predators like raccoons, possums, skunks, foxes, snakes, and even feral hogs have increased.
Well, I mean, that's kind of just more of the same, right?
Yeah, it's just another bullet point.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to add anything on that. I would like to see what the data is, particularly for some of those species.
Yeah, that would be one that would be fun to follow up prompt on and see where it's pulling all that information from, and not just to fact check it, but also to point us in directions of information that we might want to dig further into and hadn't been aware of.
Yeah. Well, I do think that's a useful way we could be using AI, is to go down these rabbit holes and try to find, try to chase down information.
That's what I use it for. Yeah, that's what I use it for in my work. And like, my university job is to find things that I can dig into.
Yeah. That's a good way to use it, I think. I have not been using it basically at all before now, but maybe I'll start. Okay, last bullet point. This, meaning all the other 2 bullet points, I guess, this has a major impact on turkey recruitment, parentheses, new birds added to the population.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
Okay? All right. We ready for number 4?
Mm-hmm.
Changes in land management.
Oh, okay. So it is separating that out from habitat loss.
Yes.
It's interesting that it did it that way.
It is interesting, especially when you hear the bullets.
Okay. What are they?
Practices like early hay mowing,
Okay.
clean farming,
Okay.
and lack of prescribed fire or timber thinning reduce suitable turkey habitat.
Okay. So that's getting into some of that stuff I said it should have earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just should have been number 1.
Yeah. In my opinion. I would cross out early hay mowing and just substitute for that mowing in general.
Yeah, and hay.
Yeah. Mowing and haying.
Although in some parts of the range, like for the upper Midwest, it's a pretty significant effect on those populations, the hen loss to mowing.
Absolutely.
I mean, some of them are crazy.
That's what's particularly concerning is when you lose the hen and the nest.
Yeah. And, we had a researcher from up there talk about this. We can link that in the show notes if you're interested, from South Dakota. But they just had another paper recently, and I'm forgetting the numbers in it, but I looked at that paper and I was like, dang, hen survival, not looking good.
Mm-hmm.
And for those, if, just to remind folks out there, hen survival is the most important factor affecting whether or not a population is growing, stable, or declining.
Yeah.
Hen survival is the vital rate that's most important.
Yeah.
Which we'll get back to here soon because we've just gotten a recent decision.
Yeah.
So we'll be covering a hen survival paper that I'm lead author on and Will is an author on that just received the nod. So we'll be
That's one we've been waiting to talk about for a long time. And those of you that listen to every episode have probably heard us tease it before.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that. We've teased some of the other papers, but this one I didn't want to do it because it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure that it made it through the rigor of peer review before we jump on that wagon, because I think it is particularly relevant.
It answers a lot of questions.
The prompt here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may actually change the way ChatGPT responds to this. We'll see.
If it doesn't, it should.
All right, so last bullet on that one. Absence of fire in forests allows thick understory to grow, which reduces the open conditions turkeys prefer for movement and brood rearing.
Preach, chat.
Nailed it.
Now it's just showing off.
Man, look at that. It's citing you. It just cited wild turkey science on that one. Yeah. All right. Number 5.
All right.
What are we missing?
Disease?
Yes. Nailed it. Disease. On this one, it even has a little icon beside the 5 that is a little pathogen, I guess. It's a little green ball.
Fancy.
With little extended protrusion things. It's like an alien.
Looks like COVID, like the COVID virus.
It's the COVID virus emblem, except it's green. All right, here are the bullets. Some disease outbreaks have been recorded. such as LPDV and blackhead disease.
I wouldn't call LPDV an outbreak. It's just endemic at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a large portion of the individuals are infected. Blackhead, have you seen anywhere that there was quote unquote an outbreak? I mean, it's definitely important.
No, and I don't think it's a disease. It's not transferred bird to bird, so I don't see how there
Well,
would be an outbreak.
it could be because the eggs are shed through the scat and they can go bird to bird, but
That's
I
right.
think
Yeah.
it starts with a bird eating an earthworm, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, that's another one that has that weird life cycle. And
Yeah. And that's the one that everybody worries about in the context of chicken litter too.
yeah, and that's how that would happen is the eggs are shed in the feces,
Uh-huh.
and feces being spread all over fields or something might
Yeah.
introduce the eggs so that they get in the earthworm community,
Yeah.
and then turkeys eat them.
But I think it's
Yeah.
important to say here for the listeners that haven't heard us go into this whole topic before that generally speaking, if you're talking about litter from laying houses, that is a risk. But if they're from broiler houses, they don't typically keep those birds alive long enough for that protozoan parasite to complete its life cycle and pose a risk.
That's right. And most litter is originating from the latter. That's not a great concern.
Yeah.
That being said, we did have an episode on this with one of the guys that studies this.
Yeah.
And if it did originate from the other scenario, it very well could be a problem. And there are places where that has happened.
That's right.
So we can link that episode because we're definitely out over our skis on that topic.
Yeah, and I say the only problem that I really have with that response is the way that it put in outbreak. I don't know that it's necessarily outbreaks versus increasing prevalence rates and geographic distribution of several of these diseases are concerning. And
yeah, and we've talked about this with disease, but I don't know if we were even looking for LPDV before just what 2000.
Yeah, about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago. And you know that disease has since been correlated, not proven causation, but correlated with decreased clutch size. And I heard a little blurb the other day, it's preliminary data. So I'm not going to go into it much at all, but that there is a disease that may be negatively affecting annual hen survival too. And it's not one that we commonly think about, but that is very preliminary evidence at this point.
Yeah. I was just thinking about another disease that can be transmitted through maternal. Which one is that? The one that could be given to poults from the hen.
I'm not sure. It's not Newcastle, is it?
No. Well, it may. I mean, that one may be one, but that's not the one I was thinking of.
Anyway, we're way out of our skis, Marcus. We should probably move on before this gets worse.
We should probably ask a disease person on this, While disease isn't the top cause everywhere, it may be a contributing factor in some populations.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we've talked about before is if you have all this other stuff going on and you layer disease on top of that, what may be just a few percentage points could become much more problematic.
Well, I think, this is somewhere where we can talk intelligently. I think people probably already intuitively know this just from having some knowledge of human disease and risk pathogens. But when there are a lot of stressors, and then individuals in poorer condition might be more susceptible either to contracting a disease
like
or
not sleeping well, eating well, stressed out, you're going to catch stuff easier.
Yeah. So it is reasonable that it might be an interacting factor that, having other stressors could facilitate or cause the pathogen to have a deleterious effect,
Oh yeah, it's
making it
super.
at risk.
Yeah, and I mean, you can just start weaving this stuff together, and you think about it in terms of if habitat qualities decline, the bird's not as healthy, and then if there's more predators around, and then you layer on top of that a disease, that poor habitat quality is making it more susceptible to the disease, making the acute effects of the disease worse, and then having predators around makes it less likely that the bird will be able to recover from that disease before being eaten.
Mm-hmm.
So they just all compound, and it doesn't have good hiding cover either, right? So
When we were talking about the predators, that's another aspect
yeah,
that people kind of get upset about or irritated. The predator folks that think that predation is the problem. But I can tell you firsthand now because we've had birds get sick before, that in our population that we
hmm
have. That is going to be for some pathogens. If the bird gets sick, it is going to be the bird that gets eaten.
yeah,
Like that's just you know
yeah,
that's what's going to happen. And then we would come back behind that with as a researcher, or if you're just walking around on your property or riding around and you see a pile of feathers, you immediately think, "Oh, a predator got this." And it's like, well, that may be true, but it also might have had blackhead,
yeah.
and
Think about
it's
here's the
walking around all frumpy and won't fly up to its roost, and then it got eaten because
yeah.
of it.
In a
So what's the
nutshell,
problem there?
why did the predator get it?
Right.
That's what we should be thinking about. Why
We
did the
can't just
predator do this? Is it because
yeah,
there's too
we
many
would just see a
predators?
pile of feathers at the end and
Right.
call it predation, but the
Yeah.
reality is it may or may not have been healthy as a result of something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's one I think I'll be interested to hear what you say. Over harvest or poorly timed hunting seasons. That's number 6.
Uh,
Uh,
did
here's
you
it
ask it
set.
for? Did you ask it what it's basing that on?
Well, I think that's something to follow up on, right? In some states, hunting seasons may open too early, potentially disturbing breeding hens or removing dominant gobblers before they've bred.
Well,
I'm not aware of that
that
research.
that may be occurring, but we have no data that links male harvest to recruitment.
Yeah.
Nothing has ever shown because this is a recruitment problem, and there's nothing linking male harvest or spring seasons to recruitment.
And the most direct experiment to investigate this was the Quayle et al. Paper from
hmm
Tennessee,
hmm
where they had the county level
Yeah.
manipulations and they did not find an effect.
Yeah.
We can link that as well. Doesn't mean there isn't one,
Well, I mean,
especially at some harvest rates, but
I'm not
uh,
surprised it made that point because certainly there's no shortage of articles out there online speculating that that's occurring, but
yeah,
it just hasn't been proven.
that's right. And the evidence that has been gathered suggests otherwise.
Yeah, that it's not true.
While hunting is generally well regulated, there's concern in some regions that spring harvest timing may reduce reproductive success. That's the same thing,
hmm
and same responses from us.
Yeah. And then as far as like over harvesting males not leaving enough carryover for adults into the huntable population in the following season, from the male harvest rates that I'm aware of across most of the turkey's range, they are not in excess of what would be considered sustainable in most cases.
Just 30%,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And even the we had uh, Patrick Whiteman on talking about the really broad, thorough project on male harvest rate, and I
Yeah,
think on
across multiple
average,
states, it was about 30.
yeah, I think it was 29%, right?
Mhm.
So it was right at 30%. Number 7. We ready?
Corn.
How did you know? No. Unknown or emerging factors. I think this one's just saying
It's just chat's
there's
just covering
probably
its
something else.
bases. Chat's covering
There's
its
probably
bases
something
here.
else, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what I'd like to see where it got this data. Some researchers, I'd like to know which ones. Is it me? Some researchers suspect there may be additional unknown ecological shifts affecting turkeys, including changes in insect abundance, which poults rely on. That probably did come from us.
Just picking that up.
Food availability, or climate-related stresses.
Well, I mean, I think if the climate-related stresses, if anywhere, they'd fit back into the weather concerns, right?
Yeah.
Climate affecting weather. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
climate is broad scale weather
And
patterns.
I have heard of that being brought up, and the best study on that we covered earlier was the Boone paper, which they didn't find any strong evidence as far as I recall, but we can link that paper for folks.
Right.
But there is data to suggest that some weather patterns could be a problem.
Sure.
Especially for hen survival, which is the problem.
Yeah.
And then insect abundance. I mean, we have a series of episodes on there is an insect decline, and that could be a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, for poults that are relying nearly exclusively on insects for their diet to be successful early in life, if there's not enough insects, that's an obvious problem.
And then you look at, when we did that episode series, we presented a paper that showed a lot of evidence that a lot of the birds that eat insects are the ones that are declining.
Yeah, it's actually ubiquitous.
Yeah.
The species that have been, I shouldn't say that. There was a paper where all of the species that they looked at that ate insects had been declining.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what grade are we going to give ChatGPT on its answer, Dr. Lashley, if this was an essay question on an exam?
Well, I do think some of the answers are fairly generic, and I'd also like to see some sources on some of them.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it did okay.
Yeah.
It's passing.
I said something about corn earlier in jest, but I do wish it had mentioned that, at least in the context of some of these other things that it brought up, particularly with it being relevant to disease and predators.
Yeah.
How feeding can interact with those factors.
Yeah, and to be fair, it did give us a summary. It's probably not a single, I'm just paraphrasing, it's not a single cause, but it's a combination of habitat issues, predation, reproductive challenges, and possibly disease or harvest timing. And then it goes on to say that wildlife agencies across the U.S. are now actively researching these declines and adjusting management strategies accordingly, which is true. And I'm glad it caveated that. There is a lot of people that are really vested in trying to figure out what's going on and what we can do about it, and trying to make changes accordingly.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to make changes before we have the data, and just to be conservative. So you're seeing some of that happen in some places. And then it asks me, would I like to data or trends for a specific state or region?
Well,
I wonder what it would give me.
While you're doing that, I was just going to say, I think that was a pretty cool episode. I like how that turned out, because going through its answers provided us an opportunity to answer some questions kind of in a way covering a broad swath of topics, right? That we may not have otherwise covered in a single episode, because we so often focus on just a singular issue. It made us more comprehensive. So if y'all have further prompts, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, that y'all would like to see us explore and provide feedback on, let us know.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm curious to see what kind of prompts we get. I know we're going to get a bunch.
You think we will?
Every time we ask for anything, our audience steps up. They're right there with us.
Yeah.
I want
to see how creative people can get. I mean, there's no telling what they might come up with.
Yeah, and just along those lines, what is something you would like for me to ask Will? Let's see what we get with that.
I'm gonna ask ChatGPT about you, Marcus. Is Marcus Lashley the top turkey scientist?
I could go on and tell you what it's going to say to that. So,
it gives me strengths and what makes you stand out. Oh, but you have some limitations and considerations too.
Well, everybody knows that. See, it's not. It's so general. It's not even meaningful.
That's fun.
It cites my wife for that. For my limitations.
It said, if you want, I can compare Marcus to other top turkey scientists so you can see where he ranks. Do you want me to do that?
I can't believe it even know me. That's hilarious.
All right.
We'll do another episode on that one.
Okay.
Rank the turkey scientists. That's awesome.
All right. That was fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we appreciate all the feedback. If you hadn't had a chance, rate the podcast, leave us some comments on the YouTube if you're watching us, and leave us some prompts. If you like this episode, we'll continue with a series like this.
Wild Turkey Science is part of the Natural Resources University podcast network and is made possible by Turkeys for Tomorrow, a grassroots organization dedicated to the wild turkey. To learn more about TFT, check out turkeysfortomorrow.org.